This conference will now be recorded.
Right. So when we have to build multiple machines out of the, your machine, you're running one machine and you wanted to build some clones out of it. You must stop. There will be an option, you get it. If you see, take a snapshot here, or else manage, go to here, clone this one. Basically, you have to use the clone option. It will create the exact copy of your this particular server, basically. If I click on this, before I click on this, I'll try to create a directory first. Somewhere I kept this data, Linux VMs. Yeah, I'll make it as Linux 4 machine. I'm going to connect. I'm going to show everything quickly, very quickly. Okay, Linux 4 folder I created. Now I'm going to the VM, the one I wanted to pick up a snapshot. Go to here, manage and clone, or else you can go with the snapshot as take snapshot. Let's see. Instead of the clone is good option. Clone will take the everything from the machine. Use the clone. Click on your server, go to manage, go to the clone. And then what it is saying, you cannot make a clone of the virtual machine or snapshot when the machine is powered on or suspended. So I had to shut down this if I wanted to pick up. I have the VM03. I can take that one, but anyway, I'll shut down this one. Let it do. That's it. So now VM02 got powered off. Okay. So now I'm going to pick up the clone. Go to click on this one. Go to the manage. Go to clone, and then see here. This is what it will walk you through the builder clone of the machine quickly. So hit next, and the current state virtual machine. Create a linked clone. From the current state will be created new. Why we have? Okay. Anyway, this is also fine. Current state in the virtual machine, whatever is there in the current machine state, it will pick up the exact clone and build a machine. Okay, linked clone from the current state will create a new snapshot, which is fine. Hit next, and here create a full clone. Don't go with a linked clone. Create a full clone means I need a new machine altogether. Don't keep any dependency on this one. It should be an independent. So go with the full clone. Use the full clone option. Hit next. And what is the machine name I wanted to keep it? Linux 4 for this one. Linux 4. And where you wanted to keep it, where you have that space in your machine, you need to have a space at least 50 or 25 GB, because I'm going to give that 25 GB. So I kept it here under data, under Linux machine, under here Linux 4. So I'm giving the directory where I wanted to load this image, the copy of this. Finish. That's all you have to do. It will build the complete machine clone, and that clone will be used as another machine. Biren was asking this thing yesterday, right? This is how you do, Biren. Actually, you can create n number of servers with one clone, one machine.
And then how we link with each other? Like, do we need to configure any IPs,
No,
or
no,
it can?
also everything. I mean, this is just a clone. It will quickly done. Once
Mhm.
this is done, I'll load it as independent machine in a
Okay.
minute. It can go fast, most probably, because my my laptop is powerful only. It is, you have less configuration. This can take a little longer, but it should do quickly for me. I guess what is utilization? 32 GB RAM and 8 processor, so it should do things quick. And my disk drive is also SSD. It's not a hard drive. So hardly it takes 1.5 minute. Let's see. You see the files created. See, clone is preparing a clone operation, creating full clone, and done. If you click it close, now it did very quick actually. If you see, it did very quick. Why? Because generally it takes, with 8 GB or 8 GB RAM or 4 GB RAM, it takes half an hour also. It all matters. So you have to be aware with that. So go to here, it will build all the files now. So now I'm going to switch on this machine first in the VM. This one. Click on this, power on the virtual machine, and then I'll connect it as independent machine. let's see, it will pick up the Linux 02 IP. I have to change that IP. The IP thing you have to change it. Let's see if it is picked up or not. As this is done, I guess it should pick up the dynamic IP, but let's see. Because we have this network adapter configuration already done, that will take care of the IP assignment. See the host only IP address 650.0, but anyway, this is connected. The machine is up already. So whatever the logins were there on that machine, that this server will have all the logins. Root and giving the password. IP if config actually. Right, it has 12. This is not good, especially the IP part. Ethernet. Okay, I have to change this somewhere. If I start 2, it won't start. Why? Because it claimed the IP 12 actually. For that, Ethernet, we have to change the IP Ethernet. Ethernet IP, there will be some file where we have to change these IPs actually. This is 223.207, which is good enough, but 50.12. And this is try to switch on. It won't switch on, most probably. Let's see if it switched up, what IP it will pick up. It won't load if the IP duplication happens, most probably. Let's see. If this is getting picked up, a new IP, that is good enough. 92.168.12. It should be dynamic mostly. Why? Because we have this Ethernet card configuration. Right. If not, I'll check on the IP assignment to the Ethernet card. Okay, so if config, which kind of scenario we are using the clone? If you wanted to create multiple machines, I've given one machine, it is also 550.12. Scenario means I created one machine. I have given you all one machine. You wanted to create multiple machines for practice. Like I was talking two machines yesterday, Linux 1, Linux 2, to make a connection remotely, and I was talking about the Mongo shell server versions are different kind of. If you wanted to release from your end, you build one few more machines. If you it is a replication, you need three machines minimum, like three replicas. Replication means you need at least three servers. Okay, so three clones you definitely need. So for further configuration also you need more clones. We'll talk about that. Three clones are enough to do every configuration. At least three machines we need. One, two, three, something like that. You just clone it. The IP assignment, there will be something called in etc, I guess. Called. I'm not sure. I forgot that. I have to recheck. If I see it, I might forget. I can recall, I guess. There's something called Ethernet configuration. Oh, come on, let's talk about that. Recalling this. Did I do it? Just a minute, guys. I'm looking for the commands which are unrelated to. Oh, come on. It maintains. See, if you wanted to see all the commands that you run recently, history. There is a command called history that will tell you the whole command history that we ran. 224 commands. It is recorded. Come on. This is not good. So what I'll do? I'll correct from here. Better. Uh, network circuit. It is giving the error. Let's see if I run anything related to Ethernet card. If in my history, did I issue any command? Set default multi-user target. Okay. Okay. Then I'll pick up this tomorrow, guys. How do we assign the IP? Because we don't want to waste our time. Let's progress with the class. At least you got to know how to build a machine, right, Biren? Like we'll talk about IP assignment. I'll pick up that tomorrow, right? So you just create one clone and keep it ready, and I'll talk about how do we do that. Anyway, you're going to see that. Uh, just it is simple. One command will do the rest of the job for us. Like changing the IP at Ethernet. One file will be there that will be there in etc file. Anyway, we'll talk about it. So this is what you just, it is so simple to create a copy of the machine, and just you have to change the IP, Ethernet IP, then it will act like a different independent machine. See, Linux 4, I have the Linux 2, both are there, but only problem here is 50.12. 50.12 should not be given to both the machines. What I'll do, I'll quickly log off from this machine, power off and power on. Let's see if this can get the dynamic IP. It should actually, because of we have given that configuration. Oh, Biren lost the connection. 50.12. It should pick up the new IP. If not, we can do it manually. That manual way, I forgot that there is a file that will be somewhere in etc. That investigation will take time, but that is the reason I wanted to investigate in the background. I'll discuss in the tomorrow class. Anyway, I'll quickly look at this. If it is loading new IP, good enough. If not, we'll see into tomorrow class. You have to click inside the VM, root, and the password Ravi at the rate 1234 for every machine. If config, oh, it's still having the same IP. Okay, this is fine. We'll see this, guys. How do we see? We created a clone of the machine. It is up and running, but both are running with the same IP. That is not good. Except that IP, everything is fine. Except that IP, it is still showing. It is still showing the Linux 02 itself. That also we need to change the host name. There are two things you have to change. How do you do that? We'll talk about it. No need to worry. Okay. Let's move on with the Mongo. Okay, then the building, we have seen how do we build a machine, but I'm going to talk about how do we rename this. Rename is simple thing, but network card IP we have to change it. That's something we'll see tomorrow. I'll switch off this machine for now. Right. Come to the discussions, guys. So we have seen how we can install Mongo on Linux platform, and let's see the basic thing after that. We have, what is JSON BSON? Actually, the how data will store in the Mongo, what format it will pick up the data, what format it accepts the data, and how it stores the data in the background, and how it reads the data from the background. First, we will understand the background. If you understand the background, we can troubleshoot the product more in detail. Just administration is simple. So understanding the background architectures are very important. First, I'll cover the architectures, then I'll enter into the actual practicals. Anyway, when we are doing this, I'm going to show everything practical only, but actual practical, when I call, you'll connect all of this. Okay. First, we created Mongo. Okay. We know that how do we start the Mongo and all that. I don't need to go that level now. Why? Because we did all of these discussions, creating service account, creating the directories, picking up the permissions, and downloading the binaries and making that binary under the environment variable and calling it, configuring, giving the config file and everything. We have seen all of that. So extension of that, we are connecting to Mongo port. Has I've used different port here on this one. It is Mongo is not running. Socket refuse. Let's see if it is not running. It's not running. Here it is running. This is enough for us. So exit. I'm exiting it. So just quickly from the beginning. So we install Mongo and it is running on this machine. So how do I say it is running or not? You can go this one, grep. So if you see MongoDB is running, it is running the server and using the Mongo user. So you can run from one user, you can connect from every user, because Mongo binary is executable by every machine who is connecting to the machine. But anyway, here it is just if you type Mongo, it will connect, because we did not enable the security. Security module is separate. You need to have a username password to enter into the Mongo anyway, to do anything on the Mongo. That comes in the security. Let's cover the basics, then we'll enter. When we talk about the security, I'm going to tell you how do we enable the security, how we create the users, what is the best security compliances in Mongo to protect the server from hackers, from internal users, everything we are going to talk. We can restrict the access from the particular IPs if you wanted. Everything we can restrict. That something comes into security only. So we will discuss there. So we created Mongo and we are connecting with Mongo Shell, and this Mongo Shell is 4.0 version. Server version is 4.0. Both are same. It no need to be same. That we already discussed yesterday. And there will be default databases in the system. So by default, you will be connected to test database. If you wanted to see to which database you have connected, you have to use DB. By default, you will be connected to test database. Test is a like empty database. It does not have anything. Even you are connected to test database, there is no harm without the authorization, because test database does not hold any data by default. You will be landed into that database when you connect by default. So by default, whatever the authentication you do, first you connect to the test database when you connect to the Mongo. Keep this in mind. You are going to make a connection to the test database by default. Though you are using the username password against a particular database, but you land into Mongo to test database only by default. Everyone will connect to test database when they connect to Mongo. After that, you have to see the databases. What are the databases you have? Show DBs is a command to see the databases. So now I have a MongoDB database, admin database, config database, local database. So this is a user database. These three are the system databases basically. So admin database will maintain the all users information, passwords information, others database information. It's like a master database for you. Admin database is a master kind of master database. It maintains the users information, security information. If I use this admin, see if you wanted to connect to the database, currently I'm connected to the test database by default. If I wanted to switch it to admin, just go it use admin, then it will take you to the database. So now if I DB, I'm into admin. What are the collections we have in it? Collections means tables in terms of RDBMS. So show collections. We have one collection. This collection will give the entire system information. Entire system information. Let's read it. If you wanted to read the data from the table in the RDBMS, just right click and read out, or else select tastic from table. But here db dot collection name dot find. This is a command to read the data. And if you read this, it has the feature version. What is the feature? Which version you are running the server? Though you upgrade the server, this feature won't get upgraded. You have to change it manually. This is something very, very important when we do the upgrades, this particular thing. Based on this only, the whole Mongo compatibility will change. If you are changing this value, compatibility 4.2, 4.0 to 4.2, the entire MongoDB databases will turn into 4.2. So it is going to affect all of the databases. So it is kind of a master database basically. Admin is equivalent to master database. It holds all the users information, all other information. We are going to talk about in detail about it. Then config database. Config database we don't use for any purpose except sharding. If you are not doing sharding, there is no use with the config database. So use config. So actually, I don't recommend anybody to type the database names. Highlight it and shift insert, it will get the name. So if by mistake, even if I go with the, if in the reverse order I typed it, it will create the database. Use itself will create the database. Just use is enough to create a database. That is the reason. Don't type the databases. You will definitely do mistakes. So basically, I never type a database name. I'll highlight, and then shift insert. Then database will be there and enter into it. Now, if I do see this one, I'm into the config database. And what are the tables are there? The command is show collections. Table means here collections. So we have here also one collection, system sessions. How many sessions are there in the system right now? You can find here basically. So this is about the basically this is not about the normal user session. This is about the sharding. If you don't have a sharding, you don't have any use with the config anyway. So this is about the config, guys. If you are building a sharding means we are going to talk about in detail. I'm going to configure right from the scratch to all everything. I'm going to show how the data also migrate within the shard to between the different servers. We can see that how the data is migrating also. I'm really expert into that technology. I will take you in detail of it. For now, we are getting the database details, and the local is very important, especially. So use local. Okay. Here also you have one collection. This is really help you any environment. If you go to read this one, there is something called one collection in the local database. See, I'm in the local database right now. I'm reading the collections of that database. We have one collection called startup log. db dot startup log. Why it is not coming up? Okay, startup log. Not find. If I read this one, it has these details. What is this detail? What are these details? See, if you go to any environment and you don't have anyone who is giving you KT, some reason, maybe it happens, guys. When you join, when you join a company, the senior guy left the company by that time. No one is there to give you proper KT. Okay, because the person who is leaving you maybe have 2 or 3 days. He just give you overview of the environment and left, but you don't know the in detail of the environment where the things are configured. You can go and check this one. This will give you a lot of insight. This particular local database, startup startup log, the same command. But if you see, this is something, it is not readable format. It is not readable. If you wanted to read that proper order, you have to add pretty. So this is going to give you the proper format of output. Pretty, we have to use it at the end. So now data is loaded in the proper order, which is readable. It is easy to read than the data. Previously it was loaded like this. The same data now it is loaded in the organized order, very organized order. So this will load like this when you use this one extra extension, pretty. So now if you see, this is telling that the host name and the started time, server started time, and start local time when it is started in the local time. Uh, Thursday, November 5th, 2 days back, I have started this one, Mongo. And command line, what are the config file we have used? This is something is going to help you out. Where the Mongo is running from. Even if you don't know the physical directories where Mongo running from, still you can find in the local database startup log collection. It is telling you you have used this thing to start the Mongo, and in it we have a net bind IP and process management storage. This is directory. Start the system log. This is a directory. It is giving the complete config file within the Mongo. You had to read that in the OS level if you wanted to read, but no need to. Even you connect to the Mongo, you get the what is the background configuration you have used for Mongo in the local database startup log collection. This is really helpful. Why? Because see, sometimes in some environment you connect to the machine and you don't find the binary. Sometimes it happens. They do run the Mongo using the RPMs. The RPMs are not show you the directories and all. So I'll talk about that anyway. This is going to help you out. At any reason, the complete Mongo will load it from where, from which directories Mongo is started. Is it like what config files, what are the parameters you have used for this Mongo to start? Everything will be loaded. And the process ID, Mongo process ID, this is very important. Process ID we will use in many ways basically. I'll tell you. I mean, as we move on. So if I go here, if I wanted to know the Mongo process ID, ps-ef grep Mongo. What is the process ID of Mongo here? If you see 8925, and if you see that process ID, oh no, not this one process ID then. Wait, somewhere it should match the process ID. PID, it is a process ID 2526. The heck it is saying? Why it is showing that number? It should not. It should be 8925 and 2526. How come? Let me see, guys. This thing. We can find this. Just a minute. Cat. Okay. And data in the data file, it will load the Mongo process ID there. What exactly it is using? Sorry, CD. I'm just verifying myself. No need to worry. I'll tell you all of this. Okay, MongoDB log 8925 is correct. Why this is showing as 2526? This is not correct. Maybe PID means process ID. Process ID for this session or what? Maybe what I'm reading could be. Let me see further. The server version is this, and modules allocated this to memory allocation, all that we will see. And it will give the OS information as well, the machine OS information. So if you go to at the end, see here, this is the OS information, RHEL 70, and this is the architecture of the operating system on all, OpenSSL, and version, and
Top
there
of
should be.
925.
Mhm.
Yeah, there is a process ID 8925, Ravi, PID.
Right,
Yeah.
that's correct. Here it is. Version is this, and modules, and this is the server process ID, it seems. Anyway, what this process ID is a session, this particular session process ID within the Mongo, this one. We will see the process, Mongo sessions process IDs as well further. Anyway, why we read the startup log to know the Mongo where it is running from, basically, when you connect. No need to search in the OS level. You come to the Mongo, within the Mongo, you come to know all the details. So that is something good. It helps us when someone is not there to help you to understand the environment, what kind of parameters they have enabled, what kind of configurations they have enabled. So this is how this will help us basically, what features are enabled, what they are using in the environment, basically. This is very basic details, guys, what we need to know. Let CLS within the Mongo, if you wanted to clear the screen, CLS, and at the OS level you have to clear, then the screen will be cleared out automatically. And if you wanted to scroll up, you can scroll up. Just scroll, it is just moving the screen to upside. So if I do CLS, it is gone. If I wanted to see the previous commands, you can see it again. CLS is going to clear the screen from the current screen.
Here I have a question here. So
Yeah.
Mongo's like, so whenever we start a session, right, or
Uh,
whenever we connect, so
mhm.
it generate random number for the session, right? So
Right, of course.
why
Mm.
is that specific to Mongo 8925 session ID?
Can you come again? Why?
No, you're saying that 8925 is the session ID for Mongo.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So whenever I start a new session, it should randomly generate, right? Session ID, process
Session
ID,
ID
whatever.
that is within the Mongo. That is a Mongo session ID, not the OS session ID. No need to worry. That we will talk in the further sessions. Mongo
Okay.
session ID also internally it will have an ID. Based on that, if you wanted to kill a Mongo session, we will use that OP ID, like that process ID. We'll see that anyway. That comes in the performance tuning of the Mongo.
Sure.
Right, let's come to this discussion, guys. What is MongoDB? We already discussed. It is a NoSQL family database server, and it has a lot of advantage we talked about. Let's see the data format it will have, and it will accept the data. What kind of data format it will accept? How it stores the data in the background, and what is object ID? And these 4 points I'll cover for today, for at least journaling architecture, working set, storage engine architectures, and we will see GridFS, all of this further in the next class. At least these 4 points I'll try to cover today. Just try to follow. So see, MongoDB is a document-oriented database that we discussed already. MongoDB replaced the concept of row with a more flexible document. So if it is RDBMS, I already discussed in the demo. If it is RDBMS, you definitely have to define the structure and do the data load into the table. If it is not matching the structure, the load will fail. But whereas in Mongo, it does not do all of that. So show DBs. I quickly create one database. Use uh, SQLDB or something. I'm just creating a database. So when you use database name, that's it. It will create the database. But does it show the in the database list? No. As long as you create at least one collection in it, it won't show the database name. One collection at least you must create. Then only it will show the databases in the list. If you just used and you did not create any database, any collection in it, any data in it, then it is as simple as it is not created. Using a database will create a database, but in when you use the database, when you are in the database, you have to create at least one collection in it. If not, database won't show up in the show DBs and it is equivalent to not created. So now what I'm going to do, db.class, I'm just creating one. So class is a collection, it's like table and inserting the data. So you can create the collection manually if you wanted, or else it will create the table or collection on the fly. You don't need to create basically. So every Mongo, it goes all the input in the flower brackets, parenthesis within the flower bracket. Within that you have to write anything that you wanted. This is a minimum syntax you have to follow. Parenthesis within the flower bracket you have to write. So now what I wanted to load s number, it's like RDBMS, s number 1. And what I wanted to keep it here, s name. And what is the name I wanted to keep it, example Santosh Ajamages. And what is address, just I'm keeping it US. So this is going to take the this input as a, like as a record. If I do this, it will pick up, it is inserted. So the minimum syntax for loading the data is you had to keep this parenthesis first, then within the flower bracket you define anything. Like you wanted to define embedded documents. What is embedded document, we will pick up in a today's session itself. But the data insert, data updates, whatever you do, it must be started with the parenthesis, within the parenthesis flower bracket, within that you define what you wanted. That is a minimum syntax you have to follow to send the data to the MongoDB. That is one thing you need to understand. And after that, MongoDB is not a scheme.
Can you please
Mhm.
read this data, means what you entered, because one shouldn't be having inverted commas.
Right, this is what the data look like. What is this object ID? We have at least 20 minutes discussion in the object ID. Very important this is for Mongo. And data is like this. So what is this? Is a BSON data. What I entered is a JSON data. What is JSON? What is BSON? Next point itself I am going to talk about. Where in the next slide, JSON data. In the next slide, BSON data, all that. So for
On
now,
on the previous slide, I have a question.
yeah, go ahead. Here?
No, on the data which you read.
Okay.
In the syntax, when you entered the data, you wrote it out S number colon number 1, and
Mm,
then S name colon Santos. At that time, you
mm.
used inverted commas, but you didn't use inverted comma at number 1.
Right, numeric values no need to follow the this inverters. So only strings. This is a string actually. We
Okay.
have we have a lot of data types. Data types I am not going to pick up in the first class. Data type
Mhm.
we have separate discussion. Schema design. What kind of schema is best for the Mongo? Mongo will accept any kind of data, any formats. But do you really want it to accept? No, I don't want to accept. I wanted some input data should be there. Then only load the data to filter the data. So we are going to build a schema. What you wanted for the system, you define it manually. How do we define the best standard schema on the Mongo? That comes in that data type, all data types I'll cover, all validations I'll cover, all schema design. That is equivalent to developer. I'm going to cover 50% of the development also. You get to know, you will write your own script after the course actually. If you understand all the classes, it is be no need to worry. It's so simple. Anybody can do it. I'll cover up. So now, see here, MongoDB replaced the concept of row with with a more flexible model, the document. The document is absolutely flexible. It does not dependent on the structure. We did not define any structure here. We just created class collection on the fly, and we are just loading the data. It does not know that what format you are loading. It just take the data, whatever the format, whatever the input you are giving it. So first row is this. If I go to the next row, so I'll take it this as 2. Don't worry about this one. This is going to be big topic for us today. Example, the next record I'm picking it as Biren. So if I insert this, if I wanted to read that db.class, class is a collection or table in terms of RDBMS. So db.class.find, this is a command to read the data. Now you see, so 2 records are entered. Third record, one more record I'll enter. Okay. So I'll instead of okay, let it be addressed as Hyderabad, whatever it is, and I'll add the phone number. Phone number is a numeric. It does not need a quotes. String need a quotes basically. And email. I'm just adding. Email is a string, right? So it must go in the string. So now one more record inserted. So now if I read this, so the third record is nowhere related to the first 2 records. So that's how every document independent of other document. This document does not have any relationship with this one. So there is no schema definition. There is no fields definition. Field means this is a one field. This is another field. This is another field here. Each one is a field what you're defining. So this first is called a key. This is called value. This is a key. This is a value. This is a key. This is a value. So the MongoDB product called as a key value pair product basically. Key value pair. Key means the first one, value means the next one. Declaration you're doing, you are supplying the value to the key will take that value into it. So this is a key, s name is a key, s name, the what you supplied is a value, key value. These two words we use it, key value pairs. How you read a data using the key value pairs basically. I'll use a condition one key value pair and pull out all the data. That something will come in the next class anyway. So what I want to just, I'm not finishing anything at all, just I'm finishing this one single word. MongoDB replaced the concept of row with a more flexible model. If it is RDBMS model, you had to fix the row size. Like you have 3 columns, 3 inputs only you can give it. You cannot give 4. There is no possibility. In Mongo, it is absolutely flexible. That is what the sentence is saying. MongoDB stores the data in the form of BSON and binary form. Let's talk about this. What is BSON and JSON? Quickly. Not quickly, this is something very important you need to know. So now db dot, I have the where I'm connected to first. Let's verify this. SQL show collections, we have class collection, right? db dot, I'll create a test collection, test. Okay, if I wanted to create a collection explicitly, if I wanted to create a collection, I can create collection. We have this function. And what collection I wanted to create, example test, empty collection it is doesn't have any data, it got created. If you see show collections, it will show the collection name, which is test. Does test the collection have a data? No, we don't have anything in it. It is just empty collection right now. So db dot test dot, again I'm inserting some data. So first case, the first collection, when I created the class, I did not create explicitly like db dot create collection. I inserted the data. If collection is not there, insert will automatically create the collection and load the data. If collection is not there, if you wanted to create your own collection, we will create for many reasons our own collections with there are many declarations you can do it. Collection size you can keep it, how big your collection has to be. You can declare the size when you're creating. When you create manually, then only you get all the extra options. If it is creating dynamically, options will not be available with the collection. You can modify it later on. That is called schema design. When you are creating the collection, what size it has to be and what kind of format data it has to accept, what fields need to be present to take the data. So that is called schema design. That comes in the 4th module actually, not now. For now, what is BSON, what is JSON? How data can be input to the Mongo, how it will store the data in the background. Two things will cover. This is a minimum syntax again. db dot collection name dot insert. Insert is an operation. Within that, parenthesis and flower brackets. Within it, you give the input. So now example t number 1. So here the first one is called key, the next one is called value. Here t name. Okay. Kumar, I'm keeping it. Address. So I'll tell you why I'm doing all this again. So Hyderabad. So if you see, this is called a JSON format data. We'll call this as a JSON format data. Why it is a JSON format? The keys, if you see, it doesn't have the codes. This is a key. This is also a key here. Does it have a quote? No, there is no quotes. Only values have the quotes, and numeric value does not have a quote. We will not have a quote. If you are keeping the quotes, it is a string. It is not a number. It is in the background. The number, it is a number, but in the background it will treat as a string. It won't treat as a number. So numbers won't have the quotes. Even in the BSON format also, we'll see that. What is BSON? What you are entering is a JSON format. JSON does not have the codes to the keys. Key means T number, T name, T address. This is a key. And what is the value? 1 Kumar address. This is the values. If I enter this, if I read the data, data will automatically convert into BSON format. This is a JSON what I entered, but data in the background, the system knows only BSON format, not the JSON format. If you insert the data in the JSON format, it will convert the data and store in the BSON format. When you're reading, it will read in the BSON format only. It does not read in the JSON format because data is in the BSON format. Let me tell you that. What is the BSON format? See, if you see, I did not given the codes to this key, T number. I did not give it. Okay, I did not give the codes to the T name as well. Here I did not give it. It is added. So in BSON format, there is only one difference is in JSON format, only values will have the codes. In BSON format, both will have the codes. That is one thing system will convert automatically. So system knows only BSON format data, only BSON binary form of JSON. So when you are entering the JSON data, it will take the data in the BSON format in the background and store it in the BSON format. When you're reading, it will give you BSON data only. It does not give the JSON data. JSON means JavaScript notation. JSON means the full form of it. If you let me pick up one more big statement or big collection. So example, you have phone contacts or else address again. You have multiple address, primary address, secondary address. Also you can have it. It is possible, right? You wanted to define multiple address. What I would say, maybe phone numbers. Phone numbers can, one person can have multiple phone numbers. It is possible. When one person have multiple phones, you go with the array actually. There is something called array. Array definition, you can do it. Like I'm giving first phone number and second phone number. So you can do the multi assignment to single key basically using the array. If I read this data is like that, like this. Primary phone and secondary phone. How you access the primary phone, how you access the secondary phone is through query we can access it using the position null value that we'll see. And if I wanted to insert one more type of record, maybe he enrolled into multiple, he is teaching multiple courses as a teacher, courses. Okay, courses. Within the courses, I'm going to give some more courses is actually teaching mathematics, case. Mathematics. Okay, under mathematics is covering like numerics, comma, and logical reasoning, some topic. You must be mathematics defined. Okay, let's go this in the next class. Why? Because this will make you complex. On the first day, you definitely confuse if I go with the complex document. Anyway, I wanted to stick to the BSON JSON. Don't go into the much in detail complex document. I can write a complete screen. I can, single document. I can write multiple statements. It is very easy to write in Mongo. I'll make you go through that because it's a first class. You definitely confuse. Better to stick with the what is BSON, what is JSON. So here, if you see here, guys, the input is here. It is something you are not giving the codes to the first keys. This is called a JSON format. This is a BSON format. Now I'll ask a question. If I inserting the data like this, I'm giving the T number codes. So if I'm giving the codes, what data it is called as? When I'm inserting itself, I'm giving the codes. It is possible. You can insert the data in the binary format directly. It is possible if you wanted to. So instead of this, how to read a particular record, we will see that filters in the next class. We have the crude operations, guys. How do we read? What formats we can read? What formats we can update? What formats we can insert? Deletions, everything we have crude operations. Crude operations create, read, okay, and delete, and D is D for delete actually. Create, read, delete, and update. 4 commands we want to see in and out. No need to worry. So instead of this, address. So I'm going with the one is a JSON, one is a BSON format. Let's do this. What do you think? Will it accept or it won't accept? These two key value pairs are BSON format. This is not in the BSON format. This is JSON format. If I hit enter, will it accept? What do you think?
It should accept.
It should accept. So wherever you are giving the data in the BSON format, it no need to convert. It will take the data as it is. Wherever you are giving the data in the JSON format, it will convert to the BSON format. So system will take care of that. You don't need to worry about that. So if I'm reading this, the third one, I did not give the codes to the address. If you look at, I did not give the value codes to the address. It is converted the data into the BSON by default. So whatever the data you give it to the system, whatever the data, it will store in the BSON format only. When you read, it is giving the data in the BSON format. Mongo is so super fast product. Why? It does not convert the data into it won't convert you the data and give it to you as a like a output. It is giving the data as it is. It is not converting. When it is loading the data, it is converting into BSON, but when you're reading the data, it is not converting to any other form. Whatever is there in the background, it's just giving you as it is, as a plain text data. So as it is not converting, it can give you more throughput to your application to read the data, because server is not taking the load to convert the data. It's just giving as it is what is there in the background, like it is a BSON data, and what you are loading is a JSON data. So it is simple, guys. I wanted to quickly come out of this because we have a lot of things to discuss today. BSON means key value both will have the quotations, whereas in JSON key does not have the quotation. That is the only thing you have to remember for this. Is it clear or not? Say something.
Yeah, Ravi.
Yes.
Yes.
There is, yeah, it is so simple point. I made it, but this is very, very important. Mongo take the data in the JSON format, loads the data or keep the data in the background in the BSON format. That's it. Let's move to the next statement. Document-oriented approach make it possible to represent a complex hierarchical relations with a single record. If you see this one in an example, sorry guys, see if the name of the product is MongoDB and the customers, who are the customers of MongoDB, MetLife, Otto, Expedia, ADP, something like this, you have it. An application, what applications they are using for this one? Name, forward, domain, e-commerce, something. See, this is called embedded document. You have a document. This is a parent document. What you defined, it will have this parenthesis anyway. At the end, it is a minimum syntax. Within the parenthesis, flower bracket. Within the flower bracket, you are defining something. Within the definition, again, you're defining one more document, and one more document. This is called embedded document. In MongoDB, you cannot join the two collections. You define, see, let me tell you this thing very quickly. You have a database, and you have a collections in it. Each collection have its own data. So you cannot join two collections and get the data as an output. There is no join concept in Mongo. There is no join at all between the collections. One collection will hold all of its data. You have to get all of your data from one collection only. There is no joining of collections or you cannot do the joining of collections. You can only get the data from one collection only as an output. So joins are not supported in Mongo. So if it is not accepting the joins, you have to keep the data locality about one particular record. If one record is doing the business, the complete username, like first name, last name, his address, phone number, what he's doing, what kind of business he's doing, what he's selling, everything will be there in a single record. If you separate the data, there is no joining to get the consolidated data in the Mongo. You have to keep all of your data locality in a one single record. You should not separate the data. So if you wanted to modify the data, example, you did not upload the data, user data, you already loaded data, the user data is not added, you can update all CRUD operations what we did on RDBMS. Mongo will also accept that. So what I mean to say, if it is this statement is saying that if it is RDBMS system, you create multiple tables and create the relationship using the foreign key. If you update the data in parent table, it will update the data in the child table automatically. You are creating multiple tables to keep the data intact and consistent. In Mongo, there is no such thing. You have to keep everything in a single flexible, single flexible document. Keep everything there itself. Don't segregate the data. Keep it data locality to within the document itself. See guys, every statement has a separate module for us. Here, what I'm discussing, every statement has a separate module. That is why I don't want to get into it. If you start discussing here itself, we'll not progress. That is the reason I'm just giving an idea. When we go inside the modules, we will go into the very in detail. No need to worry. I don't leave any single point. This approach. So now question.
Ravi, can you please compare that with the RDBMS, like little bit structure about like first in RDBMS we have a database and we have a schema logically, then we have a tables and we define the
Okay.
table name.
See,
We are
see,
giving it. Like
this is
in Mongo, in table we can take it as a collection or how like
yes, table. Terms I already given in this slide. No need to worry. I'm coming to that point. RDBMS, MongoDB, all what are the names we use it. We'll move to that slide anyway today. Okay.
Okay.
We have that. No need to worry. Right. So this approach fits very naturally into the way developers in modern object-oriented language think about their data. So in modern, like if you talk about, any social media network, any platform in, like the data what user is inputting, you don't know. They can load a photo, they can load a PDF, they can load video, they can write some text, they can do any kind of data. So if you wanted to fix everything and it has to go in that format only, it won't work. There is no fixed thing. So anything the system has to pick up, it should naturally pick up any data that you're sending it. So developer no need to develop or design something in the background to accept that data. Just create the product, give the database and give the collection definition, then it will pick up all of the data. So it on the fly introduces what the users wanted and pick up the data. RDBMS that does not have that capability. You always have to define, then it will pick up the data. So it's a third generation databases. That is why I said third generation databases. Developers no need to think of backend. They only think of front end. How data in which format they wanted to load the data into it, because whatever the extra fields they are adding, it will dynamically create in the background. They no need to create in the background. They have to focus towards the development side. That is what it is saying. The approach fits very naturally into the way developers in the modern object oriented language think about their data. Whatever they're thinking, whatever they're adding, it will get accepted in the background. MongoDB is a schema free. The document keys are not predefined or fixed anyway. You don't fix it anything. If you wanted to fix it, you can fix it. You have the definitions. That is called the schema design. I wanted S number. If there is no S number, document should be rejected. It should not get loaded. I wanted S number, S name. Both should be there, then only accept. You can give that kind of schema design that comes in the fourth module. Okay. So but naturally it won't have it, but you want it explicitly, you can give it. If these inputs are there in the document, then only pick up the document. If these inputs are missing, don't accept it. That we can define. We have the topic validators, all that. This gives developers a lot of flexibility in how they work in evolving data models. So this is giving good flexibility to not to take care of the background. They are taking care of the front end UI application side. Background side, they don't need to worry. That is giving the more flexibility to them. Right, JSON, just now we talked about. JavaScript notation is a lightweight data interchangeable format. See here, if you are reading this data, you can read it. JSON, you can read it. Even BSON also you can read it. Absolutely you can read it. It is not encrypted. Data is not encrypted. Data is absolutely readable. Even in the background also, data will be in the same format in the BSON dump. In the background files also, data will be in this format. You can read the background file if you wanted, the physical files. How do you read? There are commands for that. There are binaries for that. So we'll see all of that. No need to worry. So JSON is, see, it is easy for human to read and write. Anything BSON also you can understand, JSON also you can understand. It is a plain text kind of data. It's not keeping the data in any different formats. JSON is a text format that is completely language independent, but uses the conventions that use a familiar no programmers of C. See, what it is saying is, if you wanted to load the data from any programming language, it can pick up the data. So let me tell you one thing. So MongoDB is integrated with all other products. If you take about Oracle, Postgres, SQL, everything it is integrated, because every product will support the JSON format data. Even SQL also support the JSON format data. You are aware of or not aware of? Let's see quickly. Do I have any data in any of the table? Quickly, let me show this. If you wanted to migrate, example, I wanted to migrate the data from SQL to Mongo to SQL, something like that. So there is something we have. So quickly I'll show it. I'm looking for a little big table. Student, do I have data here? Just a minute. MarchDB tables. Right, this is enough. This is random data anyway. So now I wanted to load that data into Mongo on the fly because there is a requirement they wanted. So when you're reading this, you wanted to get the output in the JSON format from the SQL. You can do it very simple. So every product will support the JSON. That is why every product can be integrated with Mongo. That is what this statement is saying that. So to programmers of C family language, including C, C++, Java, JavaScript, Perry, Python, any other programming can be integrated with JSON. So anyone wanted to push the data from any application type, it can be .NET, it can be Java, it can be C, CS, or anything, whatever it is, any programming, you can push the data to Mongo because it's such a flexible programming model. So what is the table name? Student, quickly, just for the sake of discussion, I'm showing this. For JSON auto, you have to add this extra to the table. If you read this, it will read the data into JSON format. See, the SQL data is converted into JSON. I'll pick up this data output. I'll get into the notepad. Don't worry, when we do the migrations, I'll talk about this. This is how the data is read. SQL data is converted into JSON data. The output, because I said that I'm reading the table, converting the data into JSON. Okay. If I wanted to insert the data as it is in the Mongo, you can use it. Is it supported when? Which one? The Mongo? Yes, it supports OLTP. Of course. It does every operation that you have to do. So db.log.insert, I'm giving this one, db.log.insert, or else I can give it to existing table itself where we have test. I'm going to load this complete data into one of the collection, what we have, test. You have to use insert many. There is a command called insert many because you are inserting many documents at a time. Insert many, and use the parenthesis. It goes in the parenthesis basically, right? It is in the array. Why? Because multiple inputs are there. We will talk about all these formats, not worry. So now what did I do? I read this data from the SQL server and it converted the data into JSON format. I loaded into notepad and I'm writing the tags db.test insert many records we are inserting. Before add the parenthesis, after also add the parenthesis. Why? Because every syntax we should go in the parenthesis only. So pick up this output and go to the Mongo here, shift insert and enter. Wait, what it is saying? Insert many. And did I write wrong? Oh, sorry. This I should be small letter. So I'm converting the SQL data into Mongo. See, it is loaded into Mongo. Now if I go and read test.find, I got the data. This data I got it from where? I got the data completely from SQL on the fly. So why I'm discussing this, Mongo is so flexible product. It can get the data from any sources. It can be Oracle, it can be SQL, it can be Postgres, it can be MySQL, any data. All products will support the JSON format data. That's the biggest advantage with Mongo. Basically, the biggest advantage with the Mongo is it is compatible with every programming language, every product, because every product supports the JSON format data. That is what the statement is saying, that basically. Followed actually what I'm trying to say? It is a flexible JSON format, is a flexible, JavaScript notation model. It can be integrated with any product. That is the reason. So what we are doing in our environment, I'll tell you one thing. See, we are, let me tell you one project we are doing it every year. So you have a database, SQL database. It is getting lot of data every year, lot of data. So if you are keeping every year data here, it will grow abnormal. If it is abnormal, MongoDB, sorry, SQL Server does not give you the maintenance window to build all the indexes. So they need 2 years of data only on the live database. So from that database, what they are doing, more than 2 years data, they are dumping into one more standby database. From the standby database, what we are doing, we are picking into Mongo and deleting this once the data is loaded into Mongo. So the archival data, where it is going into Mongo, and what is it, only active 2 years active data, where it is sitting in the SQL Server. So it is we are keeping it as archival database, and we are offloading the live database. When we are offloading the live database, we are getting the good performance. We are following this model in our environment on one of the biggest server. So Mongo is this is where they generate the reports they wanted, the old historical, and they generate the new data from here. If they wanted old data from Mongo, they are generating. If they wanted the new data, they are generating with this one. So like that, the business is operating. They build their own structure, their own logic, and it is absolutely working for them. Following or not following? See, we have a tools. We have to single command can load all of your database data into MongoDB automatically. I'm going to show the Mongo Robo 3T tool. The tool will do the complete database conversion to Mongo automatically. You just give the source of source database from the SQL, target database for Mongo. It will load all of your data into Mongo automatically. It will convert automatically. There are tools which will help you to convert the data, to take the data from SQL to Mongo. So see, these are the reasons the Mongo is getting popularized nowadays, because of it is compatible with every other RDBMS product also, because all RDBMS products will support the JSON data. As simple as it is.
Ravi, there is a question. If you can go on the
Yeah.
next slide.
Yeah, sure.
What is
backslide?
no, that not the drawing which we are having.
Drawing. Okay.
So why are you archiving databases in Mongo? Why can't you have it on the SQL? Is there any benefit of archiving database on Mongo?
Right. A good question. So if I wanted to keep it here, my disks will grow abnormal. I don't want to make the much data present here, because my disk space also matters. If you're loading much of data into one disk, actually, if you're dedicating the disk, it's a good enough actually. You're keeping the dedicative, but you're keeping more data on the server, you definitely feel the heat. Actually, the configuration will get loaded, right? If you wanted to read from here, example, you need to read this data also, right? If you are reading this, then you are flooding this machine only, not the, in this case you are not flooding this machine for the reporting purpose. You are getting the data from Mongo. The underlying resources are separated in the background, because this archival data anyway they need it for reading 2 years old data all the time.
So that means the SQL Server takes more space than Mongo. It's like if it's a 1 GB of data in SQL, how much will be the space it will take in Mongo?
It's not about the space actually. It is not, the discussion is not at all about the space. It is about the computing power. See, if I'm keeping a live
So
database,
basically what happens that OLTP functions are carried over SQL and
right?
OLAP are carried over Mongo.
Mongo, exactly. Actually, the Mongo is initially made for the OLAP only, not for the OLTP. Nowadays, this product is getting used in OLTP in many platforms. Even banks are also using the Mongo as for the OLTP. Some sections, some regions are operating on the Mongo only. The banks actually understand this. So they are not using the RDBMS, they are using the NoSQL for all the transactions basically. So such a powerful product it is, not just if you go inside the architecture, you understand how good product it is. If it is actually, the problem with the Mongo is there is no recovery. Recoveries are very weak in this compared to RDBMS. Recoveries are weak. Data recoveries are weak. That is one reason. Another reason is concurrent transactions. It cannot scale with too many concurrent transactions like RDBMS. That is also another big flaw is there. If these two are overcome, the RDBMS will have a big hit in the market. I mean, this is going to be, like all the RDBMS licenses should come down. Why? Because they are giving all the features at lower cost. These people are paying too much of money. You are paying to the RDBMS like Oracle SQL. They are not cheap. You are paying too much of money to them. This will come at least 10% of this cost. You are paying $100, you'll pay $10 only here comparatively, charge wise. So that amount of saving is there, but it won't scale on few things like concurrent transactions and data recoveries are not that good compared to RDBMS. That is the reason this is not get that popular as RDBMS at the moment, but down the line it is expected that all the features will be enabled here also. If that is the case, maybe you will see that the markets are moving to different directions. Now it is already started. People are looking for the open source where they wanted to save the money. Then if they are thinking about saving the money, if this is capable of doing everything, then they definitely look for try to move to here to save the money at the end. See guys, that is deviating the topic. Just try to understand. If I'm keeping all of the data here in the SQL Server, live data, you have the archival database here. As long as you're not reading and keeping this data into different disks, absolutely good, as Biren said, why we are moving it. But when I wanted to read this data, I need the computing power from this box only. So I don't need for the writes here. Why you are keeping here? Move it to different product and read from there. So that your read operations, computing power always going to here, not here basically. Anyway, there are a lot of use cases. You can build always on, you can use the read from the secondaries, all that, right? That also you can do it. You can build always on. There is something like more data, more power, more licensing model in RDBMS. So that is also another thing you have. So compared to SQL Server, RDB, this NoSQL is a cheaper. There are many considerations people do before they do any design in the background. There are a lot of things are considered. So if you take about SQL or any product, you have a within the RDBMS, you have a standby. From standbys, you can read it. But when you're pushing the data, equivalent data here, whatever the configuration is here also you have to keep the same configuration. More configuration, more licensing you are adding. More licensing, more money you are paying it. Instead of that, I'm offloading completely different product where it is cheap. I'm running the data from there. Following the design? What I'm trying to intend to say here, are you following what I'm trying to say exactly?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a
Yes.
catch. If you understand that this is something, deep design. I'm talking very in detail, but anyway, in the beginning, this detail good enough anyway to you all are asking. I'm discussing all of this, what we have in our environment. Fine. So where are we? Okay, this is where we are. JSON format is so flexible. JSON supports all basic data types you would expect: numbers, strings, boolean values, as well as arrays, hashes, and we have a lot of data types, guys. I'm going to cover data types in the CRUD operations. No need to worry. We have the discussion, so I don't want to deviate for now. So let's stick to our discussion today. So document database such as MongoDB use JSON documents in order to store records just as tables in rows and stored in the relational database. Each document storing as a row in the RDBMS comparatively. If you compare table, a row, and here collection document, it's like that. JSON database returns query results that can be easily parsed with a little or no transformation. When you're reading the JSON data, it is converted into BSON. When you're reading, it is giving the BSON data only, not JSON data. There is no conversion in the background. It is giving as it is. That is why system will not see the load impact. Why? Because it's not converting. It's just giving you the data as it is in the background. So when it is not converting, see here, JSON database returns the query results that can be easily passed with a little or no transformation directly by JavaScript, and most popular programming language, reducing the amount of logic you need to build into your application layer. So see, you have to convert the data in multiple products. You have to convert the data into multiple data formats and give you the data kind of. Here, no need of conversions. In the background, it is not converting. It is doing the job by default, basically. That is a big advantage for any product. In the background, there is no load to convert the data. When you're reading it also, it is not converting it. It's just giving as it is what is there in the data, in the background file. How do we read the background file is something we'll see. All right, then JSON example. This is one of the JSON example. I'm going to pick up this in the further. I don't want to get into this. You definitely confuse if I talk about this. Let me talk about the basics and I'll go about complex document creation. It is dead simple anyway. BSON. We talked about the BSON guys just now. MongoDB represents the JSON documents in the binary encoded format called DSON. BSON actually. Okay, binary. See, BSON means actually binary form of the JSON basically. BSON is a binary encoded serialization of JSON-like document. So if we have seen that when we are reading it, when I loaded the data, the key does not have the, okay, this is a directly BSON data. What SQL is generated is a BSON data. Why it is BSON data? Key also have the quotations. See, the SQL generated data. So every key has a quotations, which is a BSON data basically. What we are loaded is a BSON, in the background also BSON. So if a data comes in the BSON format, system loads data in much faster way. Why? Because it no need to convert the data into BSON format. It is taking the data as it is. Performance will be at higher rate. So SQL is doing that for you. SQL is converting the data into directly into BSON format, not JSON. That's something good. Right, BSON supports the embedding of documents and arrays within the other documents and arrays. This is something called embedded documents. We will talk about. Nothing. I'm going to leave it. This is just introduction of words. What is embedded document? How you can use embedded documents in the live business model? I'm going to explain because we are using it. BSON also contains extensions that allow representation of data types that are not part of the JSON spec, such as bin data and data. See. BSON also contains extensions that allow representation of data types that are not part of the JSON spec, such as bin data or data type. Data type, we have a data type. Bin means Boolean values. Yes, we do have that. Why this statement I have written? It's not required.
Date, data type.
No, date also we
It is
have it. We are going to talk. We have that also. Both the types we have. Data type is equivalent to like RDBMS only. We will use date function to read the data based on the date. We're going to see that. This statement does not make much sense. BSON is designed to lightweight, traversable and efficient. Easily traversable, easily readable. Traversable means easily readable and very lightweight document and very efficient for the read purpose. Basically, the BSON. MongoDB can even reach inside the BSON objects to build the indexes and match the objects against query expressions on both top level and nested level BSON keys basically. So this is about the indexing. No need to worry. Indexing is separate performance tuning model we have. We have lot of topic in the performance tuning, especially I spend a lot of time on the performance tuning. Why? Because as a DBA, you should be really good enough in the performance tuning in the Mongo, because Mongo is something, it will pick up a lot of data. If you don't maintain the proper indexes, you definitely see the performance impact on the system for sure. That's very bad. We're going to see that. The main discussion is the object ID, especially object ID for today. The rest are all simple thing. What I'm going to cover. This is where will spend some time. See guys, if you see, did I insert this object ID? No. What did I insert it? S number, S name, all that. We have this details and this details we inserted, but not this ID. What is this basically? How it is going to help us? This is something really helpful for us for many troubleshooting basically. So I'll not take this table, I'll take the class just for the sake, as we have more data here. db dot class, find class, we have some data, little data. So you can easily understand. We have three records, three records got the object ID everywhere, right? So now db dot, I'm inserting one more record just to show this. db dot class, okay, insert, and within the parenthesis define it as number 4 is a key value, and s name. Okay, and now so if I do this, I'm not loading that key basically. Try to understand. I'm not loading the key, what it is entering it. What is it key then? Why it is actually getting that big number? That is something is a very big. It is going to take a lot of space in the background. Yes, it is. It will take the space. It is something. If you see this one, it is equivalent to 12 bytes basically. If you just enter one number, it is only 2 bytes. Integer will occupy 2 bytes basically, maximum 4 bytes big int basically. So this is going to take 12 bytes of storage on the disk for every record. 12 bytes. You have billions of records, then it is going to take significant extra space. Though it is taking space, we need this. Why we need this basically? It will represent something. It will represent something on the system. Say example, when does this like collection is last modified? Where do we find? Using this numbers only we will identify when the last, when someone has modified this collection last. That will tell you is it under use or not. So let me talk about this quickly. Object id says, if you see one thing guys, one more thing, if you see 86, 87, 88, 89, if it is following almost, when you are loading the data in the sequential order, it is trying to follow the same format, 86, 87, 88, and it is just here it is changed. If I insert one more record, 86, 9 ab, it will come. Let's do that one more record quickly. I'm loading same record with the fifth number just to show the sequence. It will follow the sequence in the background. See, if you see A, B, and if you insert the next one, C. So it is following an order in the background. When I loaded this data, if you see A, B, C, D, E, F, G, here it went to 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it is following
It's taking
some
it's taking a
uh,
hexadecimal.
hexadecimal at the end. It is appending one extra next value to keep
Yeah,
the
means
each.
basically it's using a hexadecimal format.
Yes, it is
So it
hexadecimal. That's correct.
yeah, 0 to 9 and then A to F.
Right. It is following the sequential order when you are loading the data. That doesn't make any sense for us, but I'm just showing you it is follow some sequence to load the data. It is to add this one. So let's come to this. Objects IDs are small, very small. Small means in terms of other data types, it is small. They are unique in each collection. If you see, every ID is different. It is by default a primary key. In RDBMS, we have a primary key to keep the uniqueness. This is a unique object. Each one is a unique value. You don't see that duplicate value. It won't accept the duplicate. Example, let me show this. Why not? My internet has some issues, so I joined back again. What happened? Right. Just not. Seems like you are disconnected. Yeah, I joined back, Cash. I joined back. It seems I had a network issue. Anyway, you guys can hear me? Can
Yes.
anyone confirm quickly? Okay,
Yeah, we can hear you.
fine. So right. So this object ID is very important to understand. So if you clear the basics, the further as I am going into the product, it will help you a lot. Just try to follow closely. So see this unique, fast to generate the order value. See, object IDs are small, they are unique in each collection, fast to generate and order. Object values are conceptual bytes, where the first 4 bytes are the timestamp. Have you started recording the? Yes, it is recording. No need to worry. So object ID values consist of 12 bytes. 12 bytes of storage it will pick up, where the first 4 bytes are representing the timestamp that reflect the object ID creation. This is what exactly what we wanted from the object ID. So first 4 bytes. So the first 4 bytes representing the representing the second since the document inserted. Let me show this one. Anyway, I'll talk about this ID manual. I'm picking up this value into Notepad. First 4 bytes. Each byte is two values. So here 4, 6, and 8. This is called object entered time. The record entered time. Object entered time. Time in Mongo collection. So now if I pick up this value and go to the website, there is the values are is in epoch values. That is called, we'll call it as epoch converter. When did I inserted this data? This will tell me. If I go and enter this data and timestamp, see, if you see what is the time I inserted, 8:23 now. This is a GMT, your time, my time zone. Saturday, November 7th, 8:19 I inserted this data. Which data? This record. This record I inserted at 8:19, 8:23 now. 5 minutes back I inserted this data. Now I'll insert one more record just to show that just now it is inserted. So I'm inserting 6th record with the same other details anyway. 6th record. So now if I'm reading the same, this one, it is generated this new value, new object value, right? I'll pick up that and I'll pick up this and copy paste it here. And you have to pick up first 4 bytes, 1 byte, second byte, third byte, fourth byte. So now this is the epoch value. I'll pick up this value. I'll load into here. Now I'll read it. It will tell you just now you have updated this. See, a few seconds ago it is updated 824 second record and it is 40 seconds now. I just 824 2 seconds that time I uploaded this document. So if you have any document in the Mongo database and if you wanted to troubleshoot the collection is really under use or not, someone is actually doing any update, writes are going on that one, every time you write the time will get updated. So based on this ID only we can identify actually the collection is under use or not. Sometimes people do create unnecessary collections, they leave the company and there is no meaning in it, but you wanted to troubleshoot such collections, this is the ID will help you out to see whether the collection is really under use or not. Basically, if someone is writing the data really when the last write happened and when the last access it won't show, last write it will show. Are you guys following with this? See guys, try to follow this. This is the reason why we will keep it ID as it is, because we need to know how when actions are taken in the collection. Basically we wanted to know historical actions that have been taken in the collection. Basically MongoDB document stored in a collection requires a unique ID field that acts like a primary key. The ID is unspecified in the document. MongoDB uses the object IDs as a default value for every document. Basically you don't need to give it. See example, ID 7 is inserted. If I'm trying to insert the same ID again, instead of I'm inserting the 7th record here, just sake of discussion, it won't allow you to insert the duplicate data. 7. If I give this one, it will throw the error. What is error? Duplicate key collection. So this ID cannot be a duplicate value. That is why it is every time loading a different value. If it is not a different, it will throw the error. So already I entered 7. I'm trying to enter the ID 7 again manually. You can give your own manual values. It will save a lot of storage, but you lose the advantage of tracking the records when each one is inserted. That is not going to help you out. I mean, it is giving you a value. The value is unique, good enough to make each record as a unique. But if you are not inserting this one, you're going to lose some certain troubleshootings. What are the other troubleshooting we are dependent on that ID? We will see in the further module anyway. We're going to pick up this again. But what it is representing, that you need to know. Are you clear on the ID? ID is tracking your transaction operation. When you have done the operation means not the read, but all the writes. Okay.
First 4 bytes were clear, Ravi. What about the 3, 2, 3?
Right, that is anyway none of our business. It'll add the machine identifier, it'll add the process ID, add the counter to keep the uniqueness at the end. Counter means to change the value, keep the unique value. So it's a machine identifier, process ID, the Mongo process ID, it is appending. This is no way it is help us. It is not required for us. First 4 bytes are important for us, especially. Other we don't care.
Okay, okay.
The first 4 bits are important for us. MongoDB client should add underscore field ID within a unique object ID. Using the object IDs for the object ID field provides the following additional benefits. In Mongo shell, you can access the creation time of the object. That is what I was talking. Creation time of the object when it is inserted, and using the object ID get timestamp within the Mongo also you can use it. But anyway, I have shown the timestamp. So through using the epoch values, you can find the first 4 digits and go to the Google and just type epoch converter. This will come up. You can find the value when it is done. Sorting an ID field that stores C. Example, I wanted to read the data. The latest updated record I wanted. The oldest recorded I wanted in different order. How do you read the data? How do you sort the data based on the timestamp you inserted? See example, I don't want this order. I wanted the insertion time order. See, example, I loaded a lot of records. One record I updated somewhere. That record I wanted at the top. You can sort. The sort is going to pick up the latest updated record into the top automatically. Sorting ascending order, descending order based on the timestamp. Because timestamp is recorded in this field. See guys, the oldest inserted record, the latest inserted record you can easily find using the sort order. How we can use the sort order and the object ID is a crude operation we're going to cover. How do we read different fields data in the Mongo? So object ID is something useful for certain troubleshootings. That is the reason in our environment we are using the default IDs itself. We are not supplying manual IDs. If you supply the manual IDs, you lose that extra benefit that you are getting with this ID. Basically tracking the operations, who is doing what at what time on the collection. Like it's not about the user information, it's about the operation, at what time the operation has done on the collection kind of. Now this one, maybe this is the last topic. I'll connect. These are all simple anyway. I'll quickly cover tomorrow and then move to the next. First, see database called as database only in the RDBMS. Table and view called as collections. There is no views kind of thing in the uh, MongoDB. In RDBMS we have a view. View is a logical table actually. View, you define a query that will give you a format of data. It's equivalent to a table, logical table. View is called as a logical table actually. Row is called a document. Document can be JSON format or BSON format. We have seen both. Document can be inserted in a JSON format or BSON format when you are inserting. Right, row is equivalent to document. Column is equivalent to field. See, whatever you see, each one, this is a one field, this is another field, this is another field, so this is another field. So column called as a field. How many fields we have in this total? Can anyone tell how many fields we have in the first document? Including this also you have to include one field, second field, uh, third field and fourth field. 4 fields we have like that. So in this third document, if you see one field, second field, third field, fourth field, fifth field, 6 fields we have. So like that. So in RDBMS, you will have a fixed column count for each row. Mandatory it is. Here it is not mandatory. You can have it n number of fields. Index called index only. There is no other name. How do we create the index? What formats you have to create the index? You have to see the how the people are retrieving the data. Based on that, we'll create the index anyway. Joining in Mongo is not there. You have to create the embedded document. You have to include the data within the document. I'll pick up that in the next class anyway. We have one example here. I'll show you how we can load an embedded document, how we can retrieve quickly. I'll talk about 5 minutes topic. Anyway, we in the crude operation will spend a lot on the embedded documents, right? Foreign key, there is no foreign key. There is called reference tables, we'll call it a reference documents. This I never seen people using it anyway. This I know clearly. Embedded documents. Partitioning, data partition. How do you do the data partitioning in RDBMS? You can create a file group. The file group, within the file group, you can create multiple files. Each file you can map it to each data disk. You can partition the data, or else table partition. Table also you can partition. Here, the partition is equivalent to sharding. Sharding is in terms of machines, not in terms of disks, basically. That is a big advantage with this technology, especially. Okay. So today I did not deliver much important, but something what is the takeaway from today's session? The takeaway is, how do we build a clone of the another machine to practice? Just build it, Ethernet and changing the machine name. I'll talk tomorrow quickly. That is a 2 minutes topic, exactly 2 minutes. I'm going to use a Linux 4. I'm going to connect and do everything quickly on the Linux 4. That is one thing you need to take away. Second thing is, how do what formats of data Mongo accept? BSON and JSON. When you extract the data, you can extract into multiple ways. Actually, you can extract the data into CSV format, Excel file format. You can extract the data into BSON format. You can extract the data into JSON format. You can extract the data into JSON array format. There are 4 formats we have extracting the data out of Mongo. What kind of extractions you can do in the backup restore? It comes through the backup restore, not normal. We will see that in the backup restore module. So database and collection also we covered, guys, already. If you see guys, collection is a group of related documents. Whatever you are creating a collection, under each collection you try to keep the related documents. If I'm doing example multiple businesses, each collection should be dedicated to each, like example, what I mean to say, you have a customer, you have 10 customers for your business. Each customer has its own collection, and you don't club the data customers. See, what the best example, you have 10 schools, you have yourself, you're running 10 schools. Each school will have its own collection or database, basically. So one school data you don't keep in one collection. Two schools data you don't keep in one collection. One school data you're keeping all students data information in one collection. Other school data you'll keep in other collection only. Don't club it. If you club it, when you're reading the data, what happens? You have to go with the more filters or more complex queries. Try to segregate the data. Even in the RDBMS also we'll do the same thing, guys. In RDBMS also we do the same thing. Why? Because you wanted to segregate the data. If you are keeping all of the business data in one table, the filtering will become more complex. Why? Because school A, school B, school C, something like this, you have it. In RDBMS you might keep in a single table, but in the Mongo you definitely have to keep in a different collection. Basically, you don't keep it everything. So keep the data in one collection, related, not unrelated. Means school A data, school B data is unrelated, basically, because these students are different, these students are different. Coming to the business model and revenue wise, you have to segregate that. In order to get the proper reporting, you definitely have to segregate the data. Each collection should have a related information, not unrelated, basically. Collections are schema free. This means that documents within the single collection, this is a boring, I know that. Single collection can have any number of different shapes. One collection can have 3 fields, one collection have 4, other collection have 10 fields. Any collection, every collection in a single database can have a different shape. In a single collection, each document can have a different shape. Does it make sense? I'll take a few minutes. We're done. This slide I'll finish it up. See, in a single document, each document is taking a different shape. That is a word it is saying. And of course, it can take. And keeping the different data, different kinds of documents in the same collection can be nightmare for the developers. So of course, if you are keeping multiple school data into one collection and you wanted to segregate one school data again with the filters, that will become a more and more complex queries they have to segregate. Why? Because you have to keep filter school wise and data wise and further student wise and information wise. Lot of filters you have to keep it. Instead of that, keep one school data in one collection. Just example I'm telling. Don't Don't actually merge the data from multiple different entities. Entities mean different business models. MongoDB groups collections into database, like a multiple collections make a database. One collection also make a database, but you under a single database you can create multiple collections, and a single instance of Mongo you can create several databases. First server, lot of databases, within the database lot of collection, within the collection lot of documents. That is hierarchy. First server, guys. First server, database, collection, documents. So single instance can hold a lot of several databases, each of which can be host completely independent data. Of course, you create a server for keep the different independent data only. The good rule of thumb is to store all data for a single application in a same database. One thing that is what, if you are getting the data, and again, see guys, there is a example, your business is dealing with a different type of business. One is selling the car, one is selling the bikes. So bikes application should have its own database, like bus application should have its own database. Don't mix it kind of. This is a cars application, this is bus application. So if they are using two different products, use a different databases. That is what it is saying, to keep the data. So if when application is connecting, they'll hit the database name, collection name, and hierarchy they'll hit it anyway to read out the data. So if they're keeping multiple applications as separate entities, keep the different databases, not the collection. Try to keep the different databases. Don't club it. To see the databases, what do you do? Quickly, 1 more minute, I'll take it. Show DBs. Show DBs. To see the collections, what I'll do, first I need to know where I am connected to. To see the collections, show collections. This is how. So today I definitely understand this is a boring concept, because these are all known things what I already discussed, but I had to run through. I had to run through all the concepts right from the beginning to all advanced. No need to worry. I don't want to skip on something. Though it is repeating, I had to remind again and again and it'll make you perfect. It is not fixed, guys. This many number of class I'm going to close kind of. No fixed. As many classes demands, I'll take it up. What I wanted to do, I want to deliver everything what we have to cover as a DBA, you need to know. Anyway, this I'll continue in the tomorrow class. I'll quickly cover this thing, like creating different documents and embedded documents. How do you create an embedded document? How do you read in 5 minutes? I'll talk about. Then move to the architectures. Architectures are very interesting. No need to worry. At least this is little bit boring for you. Anyone can feel bored when the theory is discussed. It is obvious. Journaling and working set, storage engine. These are all very important components to know in the Mongo. If you don't know this, you cannot do the lot of troubleshooting. Lot of troubleshooting depends on this one. If you wanted to understand the replication, if you wanted to understand the sharding, you need to understand this architectures first. Underlying architectures. If you understand the underlying architecture, the product will become very easy to understand. Okay guys, I do understand today is a little bit boring because I did not talk about much practicals. Practicals will make you like more interesting, but this is something you need to know. That is why I had to run through. Maybe like next class also a little bit of theory, then I'll start the crude operations. Crude operations are very interesting topics. All are practicals. There is no theory. Most of the things are practical. As next architectures, once I cover, architecture required 2 classes to make you understand, mostly 2 classes. Once architectures are over, purely most of the things are practical. Okay, don't mind that when I discuss theory part. Theory will be definitely boring, but it is also information you need to have. Any questions anyone want to ask? Anything that you have in your mind, like out of this what I discussed, you can ask.
So why the test DB is not showing, Ravi? Because it is empty. When you are
Yes, exactly, good point. Okay, that's a good question. So it is not showing in the collections, sorry, show dbs. Why it is not showing? Because, oh, what happened? Show dbs, right? Show dbs, right? So it is not showing it. Use test, okay, and db test. Now at least if I create one collection, that is what I said, empty databases, it won't show up. There is no
okay.
collection in test database. There is no collection. Don't create collections here. It is not at all recommended, because every user will land into this database without the authentication also. No collection. If I wanted to create a collection, you can create it. There is no issue. I'm creating one collection called L1. something insert, just for the sake of discussion. Don't insert any value or any collection into this. It is absolutely not recommended. It is picked up. Show DBs, it will show the test. See? At least one collection should exist to see the database. At least some data must be there. Empty databases will not be shown in the show databases. And you never create any collection under test. It is mandatory. Don't create anything under a test. It's just given for the connecting to Mongo for safer side. It is not taking you to any database. Test is just a default database for every user to enter.
Yeah, got it, Ravi.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So any other question? Good question anyway. Okay, stopping video.